Chapter 1. The First Sight. Julieta stepped out of the tram onto Malostranske Nemesti just as dusk settled. The square's Baroque beauty glowed under street lamps. In the crisp evening air, she clutched her sketchpad, trying to capture the moment. A melody drifted through the night, low, mournful, enticing. Following the sound, she discovered Christian playing cello under a stone arch near the church. He was lost in the music, bow moving with precision, eyes closed. At the final note, he opened his eyes and met hers. "Beautiful evening," he said in English with a soft accent. "Perfect for music," she replied, heart fluttering. He offered his instrument. "May I show you?" Chapter 2. Notes and Coffee. They found a cafe overlooking the river, steam rising from dark coffee. Christian talked about the history of each piece he played. Julieta sketched his profile as he spoke. She traced his jawline, the curl of his lips, the intensity of his eyes.
He leaned in.
"You capture more than shapes." Her breath caught. "Only what feels real." He smiled, and so did she. Chapter 3. Dancing Shadows. That night, Christian led her through winding streets to a hidden courtyard with live jazz and warm lanterns. The band played softly while couples moved. He held out his hand. "May I have this dance?" Julieta inched closer. "Only if you promise not to step on my feet." He chuckled as they began to move, swaying slowly, bodies pressed close. Their breath mingled. His hand curved around her waist, and she lifted her chin. Their lips found each other in a gentle, lingering kiss as the music played on. Chapter 4. The Canal-Side Confession. They walked along the Vltava banks, moonlight reflected on rippling water. Lanterns dotted stone piers. Christian stopped. "I played all over Europe, but Prague it taught me to feel." Julieta looked at him. "I feel something, too, something I can't explain." He pressed his hand to her cheek. "Maybe explanation isn't always necessary." They kissed again, this time deeper. His fingers tangled in her hair, hers against his chest. The bridge behind them bore silent witness. Chapter 5. Candles and Skin. Back at his apartment near Charles Bridge, he lit candles, soft jazz music drifting. He poured wine and offered a glass. Julieta curled onto the velvet sofa. The candlelight flickered over her cheekbones. Christian approached. He brushed hair from her face and kissed her forehead. Then he drew her closer by the waist and whispered, "There's more I want to show you." He guided her to the bedroom, fingers deftly undoing clothing. Julieta jolted with anticipation. The curves, the warmth, his hands rediscovering her form. They came together in a slow whirlwind. Kiss, touch, whisper, skin meeting skin, hearts racing with every breath. Chapter 6. Morning Reflections. Sunrise streamed through sheer curtains. Julieta awoke wrapped in Christian's arms, the cello softly leaning nearby. He traced her bare back. "Good morning." She smiled. "Morning feels different with you." They made coffee and ate fresh pastries from the nearby bakery. Outside, the city woke. Church bells, distant foot traffic, gentle river lapping. Christian caught her gaze. "Stay longer." Julieta sipped coffee. "I think I'd like that." Chapter 7. Beneath the Astronomical Clock. Later that evening, Christian guided Julieta to the old town square. The astronomical clock chimed as they stood beneath it, watching the crowd thin and the city quiet down. "Do you believe in fate?" Julieta asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Christian glanced down at her, his hand grazing hers. "Not until you looked at me that night under the archway." They kissed under the painted figures and stone saints. But this kiss was different, deeper, with the weight of something unnamed behind it. They didn't say much after that. Words would have only blurred the clarity of the moment. Chapter 8. Layers of Trust. Back at Christian's flat, rain began tapping the windows. Julieta wandered to the piano tucked in the corner. "You play this too?" Christian nodded. "Only when I want to tell secrets I can't say out loud." "Tell me now," she whispered. He sat beside her, fingers ghosting the keys, soft notes wrapped in longing and vulnerability. As he played, Julieta leaned against his shoulder. His music told her everything, about a lonely childhood, about heartbreak, about years spent pretending not to feel. Julieta turned his face toward her. "You don't have to hide here." He kissed her fiercely, lifting her into his lap, her robe slipping from one shoulder. They made love again, slower this time, like something sacred. Chapter 9. Her confession. The next morning, Julieta stood on the balcony, sipping tea in one of Christian's shirts. Prague glowed golden in the early light. "I wasn't planning on this," she said, not turning around. Christian joined her. "Neither was I. I came here for my work. I have a fiancé back home," she said, voice trembling. "We grew apart, but I haven't said it out loud yet." His silence stretched like the river. Then, gently, "You're allowed to change your story." She looked at him, so open, so unafraid. And in that moment, she wished she had met him years ago, or maybe exactly now. Chapter 10. The Edge of Goodbye. They took a boat along the river that evening. The wind caught her scarf. The boat rocked softly, and she leaned into him. But Julieta's heart was a battlefield. Christian knew. "You don't owe me anything. That's the problem," she whispered. "I want to owe you everything." He brushed a kiss to her forehead. "Whatever you choose, I'm grateful you existed here with me." That night, they didn't speak much. They simply held each other, the way you do when you sense something is slipping away. Chapter 11. A letter left behind. In the morning, she was gone. A note waited on the nightstand, written in delicate script. "Christian, I don't know what the future holds, but I needed you to know. You reminded me what it means to feel. You opened a door I thought was sealed forever. If it's right, if it's ever right, you'll know where to find me. With love, Julieta." He read the letter over and over, the sunlight streaking through the curtains as he whispered her name like a prayer. Chapter 12. Echoes of her. Days passed. Christian played at a candlelit concert in Prague Castle, but every note ached. He saw Julieta in every crowd, imagined her voice in the wind off the Vltava. Her scarf still hung on the back of his chair. He'd read her letter each night before sleep, trying to accept the ache she left behind. But some love stories don't fade, they echo. And hers echoed everywhere. Chapter 13. A letter replied. He finally wrote back. "Julieta, you left with grace, but you didn't leave empty-handed. You took a part of me I didn't know could still feel. I won't chase you, but if you ever come back, know I will be waiting in the place where our music first met the night. Always, Christian." He placed the letter in the wooden box where she'd once stored her sketches, beneath a rose she'd plucked from the park near his apartment. A small ritual. A vow. Chapter 14. Return to the bridge. 3 months later, autumn had turned Prague gold and gray. The air was colder, but Christian's routine hadn't changed. He still played under the arch near the church where they met. And one evening, as tourists passed and the streetlight flickered, he heard footsteps behind him. "Still chasing ghosts?" a soft voice asked. He turned slowly. Julieta stood there. No suitcase. No expectations. Just her. "I didn't want to be a ghost," she whispered. "I want to be real again. With you." Christian dropped the bow, crossed to her in 2 strides, and pulled her into a kiss that melted the months away. Chapter 15. The apartment revisited. They returned to his place that night, not speaking, only touching, breathing. Clothes fell like autumn leaves. Her body was familiar and new at once. Every inch kissed, rediscovered. "I left to protect you," she said between breaths. "You were never a danger," he murmured against her neck. They made love again and again, not out of lust but longing fulfilled, hands tangled, hearts bare. The kind of intimacy that comes only after losing and choosing again. Chapter 16. Staying. In the morning, Julieta stirred before him. She walked barefoot across the wooden floor, picked up her old sketch pad, and drew him sleeping, soft hair tousled, lips slightly parted. He opened his eyes. "You stayed," he said. "I'm not leaving again," she replied, stepping into bed beside him. "Unless we leave together." Christian smiled. "Then let's find music and art in every city. But always come back here." "To Prague?" she asked. "To us," he said. And this time, it wasn't a beginning or an ending. It was home. Chapter 17. Vienna by train. They took the early train to Vienna. Christian had been invited to perform at a classical music festival, and Julieta brought her sketchbook. They sat by the window, fingers entwined, watching the countryside blur past like a painting in motion. Julieta leaned on his shoulder. "What are we now?" He kissed the top of her head. "We're whatever comes after waiting." That night, in their hotel, she sketched him playing in the amber lamplight, then set the book aside. And they made love like two people who understood the fragility of time. Chapter 18, Bodies, Art, and Hunger. They visited the Leopold Museum. Julieta paused in front of an Egon Schiele painting, bold lines, raw desire. "It's not afraid to be too much," she said. "Neither are you," Christian whispered behind her. That night, they recreated the artwork with their own bodies, mirroring the raw honesty, tangled limbs, lips parted in moans that filled the room like music. It wasn't just physical. It was soul meeting soul, flesh remembering what longing felt like. Chapter 19, A Winter Market and a Ring. Back in Prague, winter arrived with snow-dusted rooftops and warm mulled wine. At the Old Town Christmas market, Christian pulled Julieta close. "I used to hate this season," he confessed. "Why?" "Because everything beautiful felt like it belonged to someone else." He opened a tiny velvet box, a silver ring, etched with a music staff and her initials. "No promises. Just a reminder, you're home now." Julieta kissed him, her breath catching. "I'll wear it every time I pick up a pen." Chapter 20, Julieta's Choice. Her agent called. A gallery in Paris wanted a full solo exhibition. It would mean months away. They sat in silence, the fireplace crackling between them. "You should go," Christian said softly. "You're meant to be seen. I don't want to disappear again." "Then don't," he said, placing her hand over his chest. "Stay in here, no matter where you go." She touched his face. "Then come with me, just for a while." He grinned. A love story across cities. I like the sound of that. Chapter 21. The music never ends. Paris. Then Florence. Then back to Prague. They traveled light, lived deeply. Julieta's art flourished, bold and sensual. Christian's music filled cathedrals and street corners alike. But every time, they returned to the flat in Prague, to the place where it all began. Sometimes, they walked the Charles Bridge at midnight, wrapped in scarves, his arm around her waist. "Still believe in fate?" she'd ask. "No," he'd whisper. "I believe in you." And every time he played, every time she drew, they told their story again. But now it had no ending. Only music, only love.